fun. I already feel my brain slowing down a little bit. God, did that make any sense? Of course her name's Tessa. Hi guys. I think that this easily takes the cake for the weirdest video that I've ever had the idea to make. Today I'm reading chapters from very concerningly popular fan fictions on Wattpad. If you have not heard of Wattpad, it is like a very popular writing website. Now, I have a bit of a personal connection to this video idea because when I was younger, I was on a writing website and I was on a very similar site to Wattpad. It was a little bit of more of like a low-key indie one. It was its own crazy world. There was fighting, there was communities, there was popularity contests. Even though I didn't venture into the wonderful world of fan fiction myself, you know, I kind of feel personally connected to these authors, to this whole life. It just makes me all the more excited to read these chapters and sort of, I don't want to say roast them. I'm a nice girl. I don't want to roast anybody. But there are definitely like tropes in fan fictions and like a lot of cliches. They're very predictable generally, and oftentimes the writing is just not great. To make this a little bit more fun, and also because I'm going to a party after this, and like this is my like pre-game, very strange pre-game, but here we are. I'm gonna be playing a little drinking game, and I made up 3 rules because I knew if I made up any more, I would be a little too drunk for my own good. The 3 things that I'm going to take a sip for, since I don't have any hard alcohol, so we're just sipping on White Claws. Also, I am such a lightweight that if I took a shot every time one of these things happened, I would be knocked out. 1, the writer talks about how shy or insecure a character is. If you guys have ever heard about the like Y/N, like your name, whatever, it's basically referring to these like classic main characters that are often in these stories that are really like shy and insecure, but like happen to be extremely gorgeous. They just don't realize it or whatever. So anytime a character says how shy or insecure they are, or the writer talks about it, gonna take a sip. Overdone descriptions is number 2. I'm also gonna take a sip for that. That could be like her red, lavish hair stuck to her collarbones with sweat. I don't know. You get the point, right? Number 3 is weird sexual tension or tension that comes out of nowhere. I don't have to explain that one, right? You get it. Okay, let's get into it. We'll take a celebratory sip to start us off. Why does it taste so strong? It's literally White Claw. The links to these incredible masterpieces will be below in case you wanna, experience them for yourselves. The first one we're starting with, just seemed too good to pass up. It has 56.2 million reads, and it is titled "The Bad Boy is Possessive." Why is every single top Wattpad story about a bad boy? Like, what is wrong with like the preteen to teen women audience? Are we good? I mean, I'm not one of you. Are you good? Hi guys, I'm currently editing this video and just wanted to jump in to say that I have now realized the first story that I talk about in this video isn't even a fan fiction, but what I really meant when I was like talking about fan fictions in general is just like any of these very like cliche romance type stories. God, should we read a little bit of the description? Let's do that. Okay. Is it possible for a bad boy to be your saving grace? Well, for Farrah Bryant, it was. After she finds out her boyfriend of 6 months has been cheating on her. Notice how in these books they always use people's first and last names. I used to do this. I'm self-roasting here. Who do you think was there to help her through it all, and most importantly, get revenge? That's right, the notorious school bad boy, Brody Bauer. That's the most cliche name. Okay. It's funny because I would have named a character that. I was this girl. Just that name alone was enough to send people into hiding. However, for Farrah, she couldn't have been happier to have him on her side, especially when it comes to destroying her ex, Blake Coleman. Although nothing comes without a price, Farrah is about to figure that out when the school bad boy starts making some demands of his own. See, I don't know whether to start with chapter 1 or to just really plunge us in. I feel like we should just plunge us in. Let's go to chapter 12, Ditching School with the Bad Boy Part 2. This is so fun. Oh wait, I'm not gonna sit for no reason. I don't wanna fuck myself over like that. After finishing and paying for our meal, we left the little diner. I have to say Brody was completely right. The food was pretty good. As you can imagine, I continued fishing for more information while we ate our lunch, but unfortunately I wasn't lucky enough to get anything useful. I guess I'll just have to try harder. Once we were inside the car, Brody's phone went off and he began texting someone. I have no context for this. I don't know what type of information she's trying to get. So other than school, did you have any other plans for the day? He asked me, not looking from his phone once. No, I replied, shaking my head. I wonder what he's up to. Good, he says, finishing up whatever he was doing on his phone and putting it away. Because we have plans. I'm gonna count this as weird sexual tension, okay? What kind of plans? I ask as he pulls into the road away from the diner. The fun kind, he smirks without looking at me. The fun kind? I began to feel a little worried. His kind of fun is not usually my kind of fun. What is he dragging me into? Oh Lord, please don't be something illegal. It can't go on my record. I've never even had so much as a detention on there, and I don't plan on putting anything on it now. The rest of the ride, we hardly spoke. It was more of a comfortable silence than anything. A few minutes later, we pulled up to a woodsy, secluded area. Why were we here? I looked around at our surroundings and found nothing familiar to me. I don't think I've ever been here. It seems like one of those places where murders take place and no one can hear your screams.
Bro, what the hell?
Next thing I know, Brody is standing next to my open door, waiting for me to exit the car. Are you coming? You know, I'm not really an outdoorsy kind of person. I started feeling a little worried. Okay, technically, there's nothing been spoken about this main character being shy, but it is clear she's shy and nervous. She keeps talking about how nervous she is, so I'm gonna take a sip for that. Okay, we're gonna jump ahead a little further into the chapter. You just need to learn not to get so worked up over stuff. He chuckles, closing my door and grabbing my hand. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. I ignore the comfort and pleasure it gives me to have his hand wrapped around mine. I refuse to let it get to me right now. I've got more important things to focus on. You know, this always happens, I feel like, in fan fictions where they're just like, I can't let myself get distracted by him. Like, he's just so hot and charming, but like, I need to focus. Like, is anyone really that distracting, that like affecting? I don't know. I haven't experienced that. Unconsciously, I squeeze Brody's hand tighter and lean in closer to him as we walk. What am I doing? Why did I ever agree to spend the day with him again? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because the adventure that is Brody Bauer excites you. I'm sorry. Bro, when I tell you I'm a lightweight, I'm a lightweight. I already feel my brain slowing down a little bit. Okay, moving on. We're gonna jump ahead to a later chapter just to see where this beautiful story goes in the future. Generally, what we've learned, we could have gotten from the title. The girl is shy and nervous, and the boy has this like charm on her or whatever. Oh, chapter 30, the beach house. That sounds tumultuous. Let's read that. Do you like it? He asks. I could see him watching me from the corner of my eye. It's amazing, I smile before looking back at him. There's more to it if you want to see, he says, motioning to the top floor. Oh, I do, I reply, walking to the stairs. This feels weirdly sexual. I'm gonna take a drink. Once I reached the top floor, it was just as spectacular as the bottom, although a bit smaller. There was another living space at the top with 3 doors that line it on the far wall. They must have been bedrooms. I walk over to the first door and push it open to reveal that I was right. It was a bedroom, a beautiful pale yellow room. This feels like description, unnecessary description, so I know I haven't seen the others yet, but if I was going to stay in one, I'd want it to be this one. It was exceptionally beautiful indeed. Exceptionally beautiful. That sounds nothing like the tone of the rest of this book. Okay, once I finally pull myself away from its majesty, I proceed to the next room. It turned out to be a bathroom instead of a bedroom, but it was still quite nice, with the marble floor and counter. Why do we need this information? A few seagulls passed by, making their usual sound, while I didn't let it distract me from the scene before me. Nothing could. Well, except Brody's arms going around me right now. I felt his chest on my back in an instant while he held me close. I'm sorry, who registers a chest on their back? Is that even a thing? I feel like that's not a thing. There was no room at all between us now. That is the most classic fanfiction line. Bruh, okay. I'm glad you like it, he says in my ear. Want to go for a swim? Now, I say, a bit surprised. It's starting to get dark. The best time, he smirks, looking out at the sky.
Why does this sound like he's about to turn into a werewolf, lol?
I don't know about this. I stare out, again, main character being shy and insecure. I stare out at the ocean before me, wondering where all my courage has gone since the library. Now I can't help but second guess my bravery. Here I was, standing in my blue bikini with a towel tightly wound around my body, trying to prevent any of my skin from showing. Description: insecurity. Cheers! Brody was already in the water, waiting for me to join him. You know, you actually have to get in the water to enjoy it, he chuckles. I know, I nod, giving him my best forced smile. Then what's the problem? When I don't answer him, he takes some water in his hands and splashes me with the coldness of it. Original. That earned him a scream from me. Come on, live a little, he laughs. That bad boy. Okay, so that's all we're gonna read of The Bad Boy is Possessive. I feel like I could have picked juicier chapters, but I am going into this completely blind, so, you know, I did my best. Moving on, we have a classic. This is After by Anna Todd. It got turned into a movie. I've never read it before. I don't even know what it's about. Let's just go for it. There's 0 descriptions for the chapters, so how do I read it? This one, I think we are going to start with the first chapter just because I feel like the introduction is where a lot of these cliches really are in full force. So let's read chapter 1, shall we? Tessa! Of course her name's Tessa. That's like the name. Tessa, I hear my mom's voice call from downstairs. I groan to myself and roll out of my tiny yet comfortable bed. While neatly tucking the corners of my bed sheet into the headboard, I take my time because this is the last morning that I will be completing the task for months. Tessa, she calls again. I'm up, I yell back. The cabinets open and close downstairs, the sounds of her frantically preparing breakfast. The knot in my stomach grows with each step to the bathroom. By the time I start the shower, it's nearly unbearable. You see what I mean about the over-dramatic inner monologue? My weekends were spent studying and preparing for this day while my peers were out getting drunk, wasting their time, and jeopardizing their futures. The day my acceptance letter to Washington State University came, I was thrilled. Mother cried for what felt like hours, and I have to admit I was pretty proud of myself. All my hard work was finally paying off. I'd once considered leaving Washington for college, but eventually decided against it. I like familiarity and routines just like my mother. This is taking quite a bit of time to get into anything interesting. So I'm gonna give myself a consolation sip. The hot water loosens my strained muscles. How long have I been in here? I hurry and wash my hair and body, lazily running a razor over my legs to remove the small stubble that has appeared over the weekend. As I wrap the towel around my wet body, why do you need to put the word wet in there? We know you just took a shower. It's just uncomfortable to read. She has a boyfriend, so this is his entrance. We're jumping ahead slightly. Noah is sitting at the table across from my mother, dressed in a blue polo shirt and khakis, his normal attire. His blonde hair is combed and lightly gelled to perfection. Hey, college girl. He smiles a bright, perfectly lined smile while standing to pull me into a tight hug. Hey, I give him an equally bright smile and pull my dirty blonde hair into a bun. Can we talk about this? Can we talk about the dirty, messy blonde hair that's constantly being thrown up in a bun? I don't know about you, but I can count the amount of times that I've seen a girl in the middle of going about her day just casually toss her hair up into some messy bun. Like, I don't witness that. Is that common for everyone else? Because it's not common for me. Also, I've been going a little fast with this. I can feel the effects. Also, I need to eat dinner. I haven't eaten dinner. Oh my God, I need to make myself toast. Let's continue. Oh my God. Honey, we can wait a couple minutes while you fix your hair, my mom says quietly, running disapproving eyes over me. I make my way to the mirror in the hallway and nod. She's right. My hair needs to be presentable for today. And of course, she did not hesitate to remind me. She never does. Ooh, look at that character development. All right. To be honest with you, for like the biggest fan fiction in the world, I expected a slightly more interesting first chapter. It's literally just her getting ready to go to college. That is all that happens in the chapter, the whole thing. Okay, moving on. Let's jump to something hopefully more interesting, like chapter 45. I need to make some toast, and my computer's dying. Okay, so from briefly skimming this chapter, it appears as if Tessa and Noah broke up, Tessa maybe hooked up with someone else and now they're back together. That seems to be where we're at. I'm really shocked by that because that's like a very original and like a plot I've just never seen before. I was watching a movie, I tell him. Maybe if I'm nice to him, he will answer some of my questions. What's with these girls and having questions? What movie? The Vow, I answer and look at him. I expect him to laugh at me, and after a few seconds he does. You would like that sappy movie. That is so unrealistic. It's based off a true story, I correct him. It still seems stupid. Sorry. Have you even seen it? I ask him, and he shakes his head. I don't have to see it to know it's stupid. I can tell you how it ends right now. She gets her memory back and they live happily ever after, he says in a high-pitched voice. Can I just say I think it's funny when like rom-coms or like cliche romance stories like talk about how cliche other romance stories are in them. Like it's like, oh, let me guess what the ending is. But like this is one of those stories. Another thing I can think of that does that is To All the Boys I've Loved Before, when they're like talking about cliche movies in the movie, like Movieception, they're talking about movies in the movie, but the movie does the same thing as the movies that it's talking about. You know? God, did that make any sense? Anyway, I keep getting distracted. No, actually that isn't how it ends, I laugh. Hardin makes me insane most of the time, but it's the rare occasions like this where he makes me forget how terrible he can be. Another bad boy. Forget that I'm supposed to hate him and find myself tossing one of Steph's pillows at him. He lets it hit him even though he could easily block it. He yells as if he's actually wounded and then we both laugh again. One of the reasons why I didn't make like, every time they talk about the guy being a bad boy, one of the rules is because I knew I would drink too much if I made that a rule because all these stories are always just like, I want to hate him. He's so bad. He's so irresponsible. Why do I like him? Why? Let me stay and watch it with you, he half asks, half demands. I don't think that's a good idea, I tell him, and he shrugs. The worst ideas are the best ideas. Besides, you wouldn't want me to drive back drunk, would you? He smiles, and I can't resist, even though I know I should. Fine, but you're sitting on the floor or Steph's bed. He pouts, but I hold my ground. God knows what will happen if we are both on my small bed. Okay, sort of messed up that she literally has a boyfriend at this time, and she's like, I don't trust myself to be near this guy. Like, isn't that fucked up? I flush at the possibilities and then scold myself for thinking that way when I just promised Noah I would stay away from Hardin. Also, his name's Hardin. Like, okay. It sounds like such a simple promise to make, but somehow I always find my way to Hardin. Or like tonight, he found his way to me. I'm counting this as weird sexual tension. Hardin slides down to the floor and I finally take the time to admire how hot he looks in a plain white t-shirt. The contrast of his black ink and white shirt is perfect. And I love the way his tattoos peek out from under the neck and sleeves. I'm sorry, you were just like, oh, it's wrong for me to be thinking this. Ma'am! This is like an uncomfortable physical description, an overdone description, so I'm gonna... Got any popcorn? He asks as soon as I press play. No, you should have brought your own, I tease, and turn the screen so you can see it better from the floor. I could always go for another type of snack, he says, and I smack his head playfully. Uncomfortable sexual tension. Also, this is like the most cliche like banter. Like they're trying to establish like a playful relationship here. But like, I feel like I've heard these same exact sentences a million times, you know? Watch the movie, no more talking or I'll kick you out. Hardin pretends to zip his lips and hand me an invisible key, which makes me giggle as I pretend to toss it behind me. As Hardin lays his head back against the bed, I feel more calm and at peace than I have all week. Hardin watches me more than the movie, but I don't care. I notice the way he smiles when I laugh at a funny line, the way he frowns when I sob after she loses her memory, and the way he too sighs with relief when they end up together in the end. Listen, this is a bone I have to pick with every movie for unrealistic expectations. I never see guys or girls actually looking at someone they like when they're not paying attention, like staring at their reactions to a movie. Unless I'm just like not in the right relationships, I feel like that just doesn't happen. Like people don't just like watch each other in the same way they do in these types of stories, you know what I mean? We're gonna jump to the end of this chapter and then we'll move on to the next story because I'm running out of time here. My ass is numb from your hard floor. Hardin complains as soon as the movie begins. They're watching another movie, I guess. Steph's bed isn't, I tell him and he frowns. I won't be able to see the screen from over there. Come on, Tessa, I will keep my hands to myself. Fine, I groan and scoot over. He smiles and lays next to me on his stomach and mimics me by bending his knees and putting his feet in the air. I can practically see the tension between us. Not them acknowledging the tension that they're trying to build. He lays 2 feet from me, but I force myself to ignore it. Hardin lays his head on his folded hands and he looks adorable. The movie is much better than I expected. I must be more to it than Hardin because when I look over, he's fast asleep. He looks so perfect, I want to reach over and touch his face. But I don't. What? Despite the fact that I should wake him and make him leave, I cover him with my blanket and lock my door before laying on Steph's bed. I've spent the night with Hardin multiple times now and never with Noah. I've done a lot of things with Hardin that I have never done with Noah. Why am I like warm? This last story is potentially the one that I am most excited and nervous about. I think you'll understand why once we get into it. Okay, toast time first. Ow! I hurt my knee. Okay, be right back. Also, I would like to point out that I've had less than 1 White Claw and I am moderately tipsy. This is the life of a lightweight, everyone. The confessions of a young adult lightweight. So this video would not be complete without a Harry Potter fan fiction. We've run into some issues, more specifically the fact that my computer's at 3% and I have like 2 minutes before I have to leave. So we're gonna move location slightly. Bro. The first line says Y/N POV. So I think that bodes well for us, don't you? This fan fiction is titled My Fake Boyfriend. And it is about Draco Malfoy, which I love Draco Malfoy. He's actually the love of my life, so I'm very pleased that we are reading this one. I feel like the chapter selection is the most important and most difficult part of this video. Peace. That was all I was feeling at this very moment, absolute peace. I was sitting on a couch in the living room with a cup of tea and one of my favorite novels held in my hand. Wow, that's like a rare description for a main character in fan fiction. In fact, I was so drawn into the book that when my mother called my name, I wasn't able to hear. That was until I felt a pair of hands shake me out of my daze, causing me to jump and nearly spill my tea. I was startled when I turned to my mother, whose face projected a smile of joy. Someone looks happy, I said and chuckled, setting my book down on the table in front of me. I am, and you should be too, she spoke, causing me to lift an eyebrow in question. Noticing my confusion, my mother continued, we're going to an extravagant party tonight. What? I asked, once again my voice flooding with confusion. We have been invited to Malfoy Manor along with all the other pure-blood families tonight, she explained. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. I can't let myself get worried about what will happen tonight. Surely nothing bad or out of the ordinary will happen. It's just a party full of the most high-class, pure-blood families in the wizarding world. Okay, maybe I should be nervous. Insecure or nervous main character. I sighed and headed towards the bathroom, where I quickly began to get ready. But as I was doing this, I couldn't help but let one thought fill my head. What will happen when I see Draco? I don't know, you tell me. I'm excited to find out. She arrives at Malfoy Manor. We're gonna jump ahead to her interaction with Draco. Well. If it isn't Miss Clearwater, Draco Malfoy taunted, a sly smirk playing on his lips. Okay, but Draco Malfoy just drains, bleeds, sweats sexual energy. The author doesn't even have to try, okay? Malfoy, I breathed, turning my body to face him. Although when I did, I was certainly taken aback at the sight. Wow, we both mutter in unison. I never thought I would say this, but Draco looked different. Okay, these like transformations where like suddenly you see someone from a new perspective is also, I feel like, very common in cliche stories, that like they walk down the stairs and you're like, wow, I didn't know you could look like this, like that type of moment. Anyway, moving on. I never thought I would say this, but Draco looked different, good different. He had his hair down rather than gelled back, which made him look older and way more good looking. This is 500,000 reads and they just said way more good looking. You look great, YN, he stuttered. I can't say YN. Is there something else I can say? What name should I use? What's the actual Clearwater's name? I can't remember. Penelope? We're gonna go with Penelope. You look great, Penelope, he stuttered. You do too, I replied. How have you been? Malfoy was cut off when a tall brunette girl rudely stepped in between us. Whoa, back off my boyfriend, you freak! Pansy Parkinson spat, her brown eyes narrowed, shooting daggers at me. I'm pretty sure he's not your boyfriend, and I was just talking to him, I said, and laughed lightly. Pansy Parkinson didn't seem to take the joke. She only rolled her eyes and stomped away, pulling Draco Malfoy along with her. That girl has some serious issues, I said to Luna, who giggled. Fast forward a little bit, it seems like she sees Draco and Pansy like about to kiss or something like that. As I was about to walk away, I felt a pair of arms latch themselves around my torso, turning me around. I looked up only to see Draco gazing down at me with his somehow beautiful blue eyes. His somehow beautiful blue eyes? Blue eyes are generally beautiful. Why is that surprising? I need to eat this toast or I'm not gonna have any food in my body. We stared at each other in an odd way, as if we were in a silent argument. Our glances battled each other. Draco's eyes filled with eagerness and mine with confusion. I had no idea what he was planning on doing. The only thing I focused on was his eyes. Who thinks like this? Who is like, we looked at each other and his eyes, they were just full of eagerness. Taking that as a description. Draco's eyes flickered to my lips, and the next thing I knew, he had slammed his lips into mine, nearly knocking all wind from my lungs. Notice how in every romantic fan fiction, the kisses are described as like slams. Anyone who's actually kissed someone knows that never happens. And if it does, it's sort of uncomfortable. Who actually does that? Who just like attacks each other's faces like that? At first I was in shock, not knowing what to do. I was currently kissing Draco Malfoy, my sworn enemy. Were we enemies? I didn't know anymore. This has got to be some sort of drink, right? I just feel like it is. I don't remember the rules. We're going for it. But when I looked over at Pansy, the pug-nosed girl, standing just a few feet away, and saw how horrified and furious she looked, I felt something come over me. Something that made me do the most outrageous, surprising thing. I kissed him back. Well, I think that's a good note to end this magnificent video. The similarities between each of these stories is just remarkable. Like, there really is just like such easily identifiable cliche things that happen in these books, and like if I had listed all of those as like rules, I would have been dead. I would love to do a part 2 to this video if it does like decently well and you guys have requests for like fan fictions you'd want me to read, or even like if you want to request like rules for the next drinking game. I didn't feel like they were like happening every 2 seconds. So if you guys want to give me things that you feel like constantly happen in fan fictions, I would love to include those in like a part 2. I would really appreciate if you liked, commented, subscribed, did that type of stuff. Really helps me and my channel out. I love you guys to death. I will see you next time. I'm gonna go finish this toast and then go rage. I'm sorry for the messiness of this video, but I feel like that's half the fun. So peace out. Bye. See ya. God, there's balsamic vinegar on my hands. Talk to me. Let's start a conversation when you spend your time with me.